What's up, people? My name is Straight Shootin LJA and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. And in this episode, I'd like to address the views of Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football from November 30th, 2020. Now, there was a debate between Neville and Carragher about the congested fixture list of the 2020-2021 season, and injuries and more. But Gary Neville, to me, tried his hardest to seemingly bury, at least verbally, Jurgen Klopp and toe the line for Sky Sports. And my issues with Neville kind of start here. For me, just because it's not a new issue, fixture congestion, that being, it doesn't mean that Klopp shouldn't bring it up. Plus, it's not the first time he's brought it up, nor is he the only one this season who has brought it up. I mean, travelling for early Saturday games after Europe was why people hated the Europa League for so long. I remember that's on a Thursday. So this is not a new phenomenon. As Gary Neville said, like Sir Alex Ferguson had been bringing it out for years. But Gary Neville opening up the debate saying fans won't understand the difference between kickoff times was utterly patronising. Because he could have said it's just like doing a 2 till 10 shift one day and then doing an 11:30 till 8 p.m. shift the next day. You'd rather do 2 till 10 the next day because obviously you get an extra couple hours rest or sleep if you choose to take it that way. But he goes on to even say he hated those kickoff times. But I find it ironic that it was Gary Neville talking about a side trying to get an advantage, considering he played for Man United in the in the mid-90s and early noughties, because they were constantly getting advantages. Remember, they snubbed the FA Cup as well. But recovery isn't an advantage, and as I mentioned in my latest vlog previously, it's a necessity for player welfare. And other leagues do it. They have winter breaks, and if they have a team from their country in a European final, for instance, they'll move stuff around to help that side succeed because they know it's good for their league. It's good for exposure, it's good for everything. If a team from your league wins something, it's good for your coefficient too. But to deny this is an exceptional season, I found hilarious from Neville. And again, as I said on my vlog, which was recorded recently, I knew someone would argue about the COVID break, but that wasn't out of choice. So for me, that's a moot point and can't really be argued, as I said, it's not a proper counterpoint because it was a forced break. And another point he brings up about, Euros and World Cup seasons, well, he's contradicted his own point again for me, because by denying from the outset that it's an exceptional season, it's like, wait, but the Euros didn't take place in 2020. Because they couldn't. They were forced not to. But it's interesting that he mentions that the Premier League have been successful with early kickoffs, and he doesn't mention Sky Sports at all. Once again, hilariously ironic, because they're his paymasters and were behind starting the Premier League in the first place. So that's kind of a strange one. But also Neville seemed to misunderstand what Klopp was talking about, because he wasn't just talking about us as Liverpool with his comments, and not just about this season either. But Neville, for me, tried his hardest to spin it to defend his paymasters, just like Des Kelly did from BT. I mean, look how he starts stumbling about 4:37 in, if you watch the Neville clip first or on its own, when he's trying not to say the wrong thing about his paymasters and talks about overseas broadcasters instead of domestic ones like the guys he works for, Sky Sports, which I understand. But for me, it chips away at your credibility, in my view, if you swipe at others but don't point those guns inwards. And also, for me, he's deliberately missing out about the amount of injuries, not just sustained by us, because we've got like 8-9 players out. I'll come back onto that. But muscle injuries around the league. And he's missed the free subs issue that, again, other leagues, including the EFL, have actually sorted out by using 5 instead of 3. So it was temporary last season, and some have gone back to that. I mean, at the end of the video, Sky had up, which had the headline of Neville saying Klopp is trying to get an advantage. You can see the argument carries on, but it ends there on that clip. I mean, you could easily accuse Sky Sports of trying to manipulate the narrative there. which is something they've been guilty of a lot. Just ask Raheem Sterling about the gun tattoo quote that they deliberately changed. But I then saw the Carragher segment separately, and it's only about 3 minutes long, and Neville's one was about 6:47, something along those lines. But it was sent to me by the G-Man, so big up to him of the PT family. But on Sky Sports Facebook page, it had Carragher's part on its own, which to me screams of trying to control and manipulate the narrative, because both clips together are literally 10 minutes in total. But leaving that aside, apparently Jurgen Klopp had a rather prickly post-match interview with Sky Sports after the Brighton match as well. So not just the BT one, but apparently Sky Sports actually didn't put it online. But if that's true, for me, then that's clearly them trying to control and manipulate the narrative and not bury themselves. But during Carragher's response, you see how Gary Neville starts smirking. And again, it's utterly patronising. And Neville chose to just try and bury Klopp, and didn't mention Solskjaer, didn't mention Guardiola, who have also brought up the issue of fixture congestion too, this season, and Guardiola in previous as well. And at least Carragher mentions that the broadcasters want the big drawing teams in the prime slots. At least he said that. Gary Neville and Des Kelly avoided and deflected, respectively, both of those points. And it's an interesting point that Carragher makes out about why would Klopp come out for Solskjaer. Man United are our big rivals, so why come out and help them by saying they're disadvantaged too? So I'm with Carragher. I think that Klopp is sincere as well, because Ferguson never did that, and he wouldn't have done it for Liverpool. But things aren't normal right now for anybody. Whether you're a school child, a teacher, you're working in an office, you're working in a supermarket, even footballers in their multi-million pound bubbles aren't immune to this virus. That being COVID-19. But when Carragher challenges Neville about the injuries and Neville blatantly didn't have a clue, to me he buried himself even more, saying, I don't know. I don't know why there's so many more injuries. Because if he had said any sort of counter, it would have destroyed his narrative that he was trying to get over. I mean, 2 minutes into Carragher's clip, if you watch Carragher's clip separately, you see Neville start stumbling again, trying to figure out what to say. He tried to use Milner as an exception, and Carragher shot that down perfectly. He played 3 games in 6 days, and he's 35. When I heard that, I literally thought of Stormzy and thought, hey, Gary Neville, here's your L, hold it. Hold your effing L, boy. Because Neville even tried to go at Klopp's Champions League selection, saying that the Atalanta game was a dead game. But it wasn't a dead game, because we haven't won the group. And the host of the show saying about rotation, how can you rotate with about 9 players out? You can't do that. So they really showed that they're desperate to hold up this narrative that Klopp isn't right and he lost the interview, in Gary Neville's words. But the squad wilting a bit. If it was 2-3 players, you could argue that the squad's wilting a bit, but not when it's literally 1 more player away from having double figures on the treatment table. That's not a squad wilting a bit. I mean, I've enjoyed Gary Neville, don't get me wrong, and I've even said on Pitch Talk Live on years gone by, as much as it pained me to say, he's been pretty good with analysis, but in this instance, to me, he's clearly towing the company line. And he embarrassed himself doing it, in my view. But you know what? I want to know what you think of Neville versus Carragher on Monday Night Football from November 30th, 2020. Neville said that Klopp lost an interview. I don't agree with that. I basically think Neville destroyed himself versus Carragher. And Carragher in 3 minutes destroyed the narrative that Neville was trying to get over and took nearly 7 minutes trying to get over. But that's just me. As I said, this is a very exceptional season. Starting under COVID rules, bubbles, players going down with COVID-19 as well. I mean, it's one of them. It's not a usual season. The games are coming thick and fast. And Gary Neville tried to manipulate the facts and stats to try and suit his agenda. Even bringing up, the COVID break. Yeah, but that break, as I said, was forced. Because there's a virus going around. There's never been a season like this. So, It's one of them. I'd love to hear Gary Neville's explanation for all these injuries, because he didn't have one yet. He didn't have one yesterday. But anyway, I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and I want to know your views in the comments section below. This is not a normal season. We are not living in a normal time. I'm about to go into somewhere where I have to wear one of them, a mask. So yeah, this ain't normal. But anyway, you know what? YouTube.com/Pitch Talk. Catch all of our videos at Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we are up to. Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution. We have restarted and reinvigorated with myself, Straight Shootin LJA, the G-Man, Jezzy Fizzle, Nathan Arsenal, and JBK as well. We're bigger and we're better than ever. So join the revolution. Remember, you can also find podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Mixcloud for the old archive material as well. We're on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts as well. Find our stuff there. Find Coaching with JBK, 5 Minutes with the G, and also the Straight Shootin View. I've been Straight Shootin LJA, and this has been the Straight Shootin View, and I will see you guys next time. Take it easy, Pete. Let me know your views in the comment section below.